Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. I'm going to do a weekly look ahead. I'm not going to go into charts. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, what I'm looking at, and kind of why I'm doing it. So it's more for financial education purposes, and you can see what I'm doing. So what I call this is a weekly look ahead for the next week coming up and what I'm going to be looking at. So what to look for? Lots of uranium mining companies broke out to the upside. I think they're going to probably continue higher. Maybe with some small pullbacks coming up. Maybe it's a few days from now. Maybe it's a week from now. But you're going to probably see some small pullbacks within these large moves higher. It broke out. A lot of these companies broke out of chart patterns. Some pretty large chart patterns too. And usually what that means is that they're gonna continue to run. Am I buying some uranium companies? Maybe. Some of them look pretty good, and I like buying after chart pattern breakouts. Sometimes they break out of a chart pattern and back test to the top of the pattern. Not every time though. But I'm looking at it and I'm looking to see what uranium's doing. Uranium is exceptionally cheap. It's 61. So this is the price of uranium in relationship to gold is 62 to 1. That means that uranium is extremely undervalued. Extremely undervalued. So that's one I am looking at. Oil and natural gas. Oil could move sideways as it's kind of, some of those charts, it looks like it's contracting, had a little wick at the top. It was so small of a wick, it's hard to tell if this is going to contract back a little bit or if it's just going to continue to go higher. So that's one to watch. Oil is really a strong driver behind some of the picks that I have in my portfolio. So I like to watch the price of oil. If oil goes higher, I'm highly leveraged to that move. Also, I'm highly leveraged on the downside. But since these companies are so depressed, what I want to see and what I like to see is I like to see a pullback in oil, but the companies I own don't pull back as much. They kind of are held up by buyers. That just means that the stock or the company is very strong. So, keep in mind, very strong moves in oil is going to move the oil producers quite a bit. I do think a continued outperformance is possible. The charts look pretty good. We broke out to the upside of one of those chart patterns. So I think it's going to continue to go higher. I just don't know on a day-to-day time frame, it's too short. So over a week or two, I think we'll continue higher. Tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm not 100% sure. We might have some small little pullbacks. So diversified mining companies, they've performed exceptionally well. Will their slingshot continue of higher prices? And what I mean by diversified miners, I'm talking about Rio, Vale, BHP, Norilsk Nickel, all of those companies. They've gone up quite a bit. They've broken monster patterns, 15-year patterns on some of them. They could continue higher, but I'm not chasing them at this point. I have my core positions in them. They are there. I don't like to chase things. I'll watch them, but I'm not going to be adding at this moment. So the one thing that really sparks my interest right now and that I'm watching very closely is precious metals. I think platinum, it broke up out of its chart pattern. I think we'll see a small pullback here, possibly. And keep in mind, there's a lot of momentum behind this. It may not pull back, but if it does pull back, I'm expecting a small little pullback and then much higher after that because we are breaking a monster, 2008 till today pattern. It is huge. Silver, it's sitting with a small pullback and primed to move higher. I'm hoping it moves higher, but we have to wait to see what the market tells us. Hope doesn't mean anything, so I got to wait and see. Gold, it needs a little more work, but I would like to see it move higher this, next week. So gold, if it rolls over and starts heading down, we're going to have to monitor that and see what the heck's going on. Because all of the other signals in terms of commodity prices and ratios all look good for everything to continue higher. Gold is our leader though, so that's one to watch. But we also have the dollar declining and the 10-year and 30-year going higher, which means that I think gold's going to go higher. That's my guess by looking at all of the other indicators and real estate. So what am I doing? My eyes are on gold and silver mining companies. I'm looking personally to add there. If we see movements, I'm probably going to put a little bit more money into it, maybe sell something else and put some into that, some of my tech companies. I think silver could be primed for a very big move soon if it breaks out. I like the chart patterns very much in the mining companies right now. Some have broken to the upside, which is very few, and most have not. But I'm watching it and I'm seeing. So if the leaders have broken out, more than likely the laggards will break out, and hopefully the metals break out. So when gold goes higher, I consider it to be game on when it breaks these patterns. And I'll show everyone with market updates when and if it breaks out. It doesn't matter what you like. We all want gold to go higher. If you're a uranium bull, oil bull, does not matter what commodity it is, you want gold to go higher. And why do you want gold to go higher? What it does is it reprices all of our commodity bets higher. It shifts the costs of everything higher while we maintain the same ratio to gold. So if gold goes higher and we're compressing our commodity against gold, it just means that our commodity is going to have to move that much more in the upward direction to reprice itself against gold. So you've got a moving target on gold moving up, and your commodity is going to move up at a faster rate than gold. Silver has the biggest chart pattern I've ever seen in my life in terms of a cup and handle since 1980. It is a huge pattern. So that's one thing that is in the back of my mind, and when this thing goes, I think we're going to see a very large move in silver. Gold is also carving out another very large pattern. It is again a cup and handle pattern, very large. So I'm very excited to see these things finally move higher when they do. And in my opinion, since these patterns are so large, I think the moves could be very big in both of them. And again, I like to say this, and I should make a shirt that says monster patterns change lives. Because if you can catch these monster patterns and ride them up, they are life-changing investments, in my opinion. Some of them can be. So the conclusion here is, I've seen some monster patterns everywhere. You should be participating, in these picks if you're interested in doing so. The diversified miners, so that's VALE, Rio, BHP, South 32, which is SOUHY, Norilsk Nickel, NILSY. Those are some ones to do some further investigation in if you want to partake in some of these big patterns. The uranium companies are putting in some pretty big patterns, and the precious metals complex is putting in some very big patterns. So those areas, those sectors is where I would be looking at. And I also think that you should be looking into some of these as well in those sectors. Choose whatever companies you want or ETFs. It's up to you. Platinum is another one that's putting in a very large monster pattern. I am purchasing some platinum before it rockets higher on this pullback if we get one. Gold and silver mining companies, I think, are buys for me. Obviously, you guys can do what you want to do. And I think the whole commodity complex is looking great at the moment. So that's kind of my opinion on everything. That's what I'm doing this week. That's what I'm looking at. That's where I think the movements and the action is for the best value. Some of these have moved up quite a bit in the oil sector. Some of the companies that we're in. Am I chasing them? Not at the moment. So uranium, some of those are still really cheap. So I'm watching at uranium, and I'm watching gold and silver. Those are the two areas. If you guys like this content, click the thumbs up button, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys listening. This is Finding Value.